Our headlines today. Two of the victims killed in the attacks in Nottingham are named as 19-year-old students Barnaby Webber and Grace Kumar.
Junior doctors begin a 3-day walkout in England, warning they will strike throughout summer if the government doesn't budge on its pay offer.
Which way is the economy moving? Good morning. So far, the UK has narrowly avoided recession this year. Today, we'll find out whether signs of growth are outrunning rising costs.
2 days and counting, but will England's captain be fully fit for the Ashes as Ben Stokes practices in a knee brace as they prepare to face Australia?
This is a young girl who's had 65 operations at 14 years old. What's our life is that?
And we get an update from football legend Graham Souness, who's training to swim the English Channel for 14-year-old Isla, who's living with pain every single day.
The investigation into the UK government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic has ended its first day. The first public hearings focused on how prepared Britain was for a viral outbreak. The lead lawyer said that very little thought was given about what the impact of a national lockdown could be. The UK's police watchdog is investigating 2 officers for possible gross misconduct over an e-bike crash that killed 2 teenagers in Cardiff. The officers drove a van, which was seen following the bike shortly before it crashed. The deaths of 16-year-old Kyrie Sullivan and 15-year-old Harvey Evans sparked a riot in the Ely area. A mother and her partner have been convicted of killing her 9-year-old son, who died after being submerged in a cold bath in the house in Worcestershire. Carla Scott was found guilty of manslaughter of Alfie Steele, while Dirk Howell was convicted of murder. MPs have launched an investigation into school inspections in England and their impact on staff and pupils. The school's watchdog, Ofsted, announced some charges, but has faced criticism since the suicide of the head teacher whose primary school was being downgraded from outstanding to inadequate.
The head of ITV is to face questions from MPs today following the departure of the This Morning presenter Philip Schofield. Dame Carolyn McCall will be asked about how the broadcaster protects staff following allegations of a toxic culture and Philip Schofield's affair with a much younger and more junior colleague. It comes after ITV announced it had launched an external review to establish the facts. Let's run you through the front of today's newspapers and the attack in Nottingham dominating the front of many of them. That's The Times. It describes a knife man's rampage through the city. Features pictures of 2 of the victims, the university students, Barnaby Webber and Grace Kumar.
The Sun's front page features the same 2 images of Barnaby and Grace, along with a photo of the van used to mow down 3 other people. Now, the paper adds that the killer stole the van from a 54-year-old man who was also fatally stabbed.
The Mail's headline reads, "Horror in Nottingham," explaining that police arrested a man on suspicion of murder who they believe was acting alone, but officers are keeping an open mind on the motive.
And one of the most read stories on BBC News Online is what we know so far about the Nottingham attack. You will remember, of course, yesterday morning here on the programme, we got first indications it had happened. You can keep up to date, of course, with the latest on this story throughout the day by visiting the BBC News website, and we will be live in Nottingham this morning ourselves.
Bringing the front page is dominated by the tragic events in Nottingham. The Guardian leads with the attack there, in which we know 3 people were killed. The Metro also leads on the stabbings, calling it a white van knife horror. Times leads on the killing of the 2 students among the 3 people known to have died. The Telegraph also reports on the 2 teenage victims and a man in his 50s who was stabbed to death. The attacks in Nottingham also on the front of the Daily Mail saying killed as they walked home from a night out. Murdered 5 minutes from home. The stark headline on the Mirror. The Star sums it up as killer's rampage. That is the word used by the Sun too. Knifed to death in rampage. A different story for the FT, leading with the Governor of the Bank of England's words that inflation is taking a lot longer than hoped to come down. And the Eye highlights that mortgage stress is to hit levels last seen in the 1980s. Now, if you want to see any of those front pages again, or indeed read the stories, then do scan the QR code on your screen. That will take you to the press review on the Sky News website.